Who steps closer to that match point? It all unfolds here as things get situated once again. Talking about the lineups, quite a bit of tankiness for a GEEK fam. Does BLACKLIST International have the answer for it with that carry pick?
It's actually a really interesting play here by BLACKLIST. They went straight into the mid lane to get a little bit of burst down onto Beloisky, maybe even potentially get a pick off there by sending Edward there with the slashes. Not going to be able to get the kill, but they do send Beloisky back a little bit, which sort of tempers the rotation of GEEK fam.
Yeah, and it sets GEEK fam back because one of the things I was worried about with BLACKLIST is they do have, once again, similar to kind of game one, a softer, supportier mid lane right now. And sending Edward into the mid lane there to kind of already give them a little bit of a boost, a little bit of push into the enemy territory really helps back BLACKLIST in this tempo.
Yep, I like that. Real quick, emblems, anything sticking out here, Renmar?
Master Assassin of the Khalid. This is the Assassin full damage Khalid that we're going to be getting. So a Khalid that can maybe be the guy to force out the black shoes of the Lilia, one of the biggest things that BLACKLIST International need to do if they want to be a little bit more comfortable in the team fights.
It's like typically, you know, again, when Khalid is picked up, you kind of expect on Marky and Oheb just, okay.
Okay.
Marky not exactly getting the better as game one. This is going to be the second game in a row. Oheb is winning out on some of these trades.
Yeah, going back to the point again, Khalid, I feel like this part is going to be very important, right?
Yeah.
For the fact that usually you see Khalid enter second in some of these team fights, but this time Edward might be making the initiation. As you mentioned, your whole goal is, let's get that black shoes out from a boy, let's kind of work around that. Once again, even the fact that you have to work against the Minoan Fury from Beloisky. If that is all expended, then BLACKLIST International is in a great position to win some of those early skirmishes and team fights later on. Oh, look at that.
A lot of damage on Edward, forced to use a flicker. Luke looking for the finish. Heavy spin comes. Luke able to flicker to the side. Edward gonna get some of his health back with that sand guard. But now Niall gonna lock on essentially. They know he doesn't have the heavy spin. Beloisky there as well. The Netherrealm comes out and now the response waiting on the final slash. Raging Sandstorm from Edward. Able to help to disengage. Luke very low, trying to back off. Renny J on the chase, but the Turtle still low. Niall able to secure. Beloisky on the front side. A nice stun on two members with an Owen's Fury. Two members taken out. Yue and Renny J back to base.
Big miscalculation there by BLACKLIST International. They had their heavy spin forced out in the bottom lane. That means the GEEK fam relatively free Turtle, but
Sensui
able.
That was dangerous. Oh, Edward! Here to equalize.
Is he still going? Okay, no, he's just, look at my sand, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool,
sand,
right?
nerd.
Just look at it,
Look
right?
at my sand. Did you just say eat sand, nerd?
Eat sand, nerd.
Yeah, it works, right?
It's Edward.
It is Edward. Now looking at the gold earned here, Marky, though, farming up pretty good in comparison to Oheb. Those two, for the entirety of the series so far, it's been very action-packed. Just to leave them be, right? This is the thing where usually I talk about the gold lane experience, but like these guys have their own version of it. They just duke it out in the gold lane, while the rest of the team kind of puts pressure everywhere else.
Yeah. So now we're going to be seeing a BLACKLIST International go into the top side jungle of GEEK fam a little bit. Oh,
they're looking for Yue here. Does have the Netherrealm, should be able to get away from this safely, but if they can pop it out, it could help with an advantage. BLACKLIST, though, all grouped up at the top. They're ready for this.
And right now, BLACKLIST International are playing like a team where they know and understand the condition of we have to not necessarily win the mid, just control the mid. Because that means our side lanes will be a little bit easier to deal with in terms of like supplementing Oheb, making sure Edward's comfortable with going on the 1v1s against Luke's Arlong. If you look at the items already, the Corrosion Scythe on the carry. Still waiting on the, oh wait, no, there it is, the DHS.
Grabbed it, yep.
They just grabbed it for Marky. So still tempered right now as rotation. A little bit slower, a little bit more methodical are what these two teams are doing.
Yeah, still focused on the mid lane.
Ow.
Again, a lot of this, you can see them kind of already getting in position. Turtle's going to be up here. Second one of the game. Both teams where they want to be. Gold laners staying on the bottom side of the map. They're going to go ahead and just not be a part of this. Turtle, take it.
Niall able to take it. GEEK fam kind of controlling the pace right now. Nice heavy spin from Luke, trying to lock on to Edward there. Down at the orange buff too, Beloisky. GEEK fam just in itself right now is being so aggressive. Edward forced to use the Raging Sandstorm as a getaway.
Yeah, and now that final slash that we saw earlier from Luke, and with BLACKLIST International forced back, can't get close enough. actually a retro duel, if I'm not mistaken, won by Nile, or I don't think they just got close. Now they trigger the call for a switch. We're going to be switching things up, the focus. This is classic Blacklist International. Now they're going to be looking into supplementing Oheb. Double laning now, trying to maximize the farm that he can get across the map, because they're going to need that iron.
Oh, Bloisky! But wait, no, the Holy Baptism able to delay Geek Fam. Geek Fam still looking away the Wild Slash! Luke making the play to change the game!
Wow!
Marky locked on Edward, and Edward finally drops. Sensui with a heavy spin just to try to get away. 4 members of Blacklist International fall.
What a play from Luke. The final slash of the day so far, right on point there.
Another chapter added to the book of Luke. No other analysis needed, man. That was a hell of a final slash.
Yep, we're going to take a look at it once again. The instant replay here, presented by Kadia. If you missed it, now you get to see it again. It all unfolds here under the Tier 1 turret. Here comes Luke.
Flicker, too. Picture perfect positioning as an Arlot. That's what you want to get. And despite them being under tower, Geek Fam can just juggle bodies to ensure that they win that out. Luke, my goodness, still continuing.
Oh, Renegade. Trouble.
Boy.
Gets through with a heal.
Geek Fam just so aggressive right now.
Yeah, in a very quick, decisive play. Now 3K ahead, not to mention objectively. Similar situation where we saw for the previous games, right? Blacklist doesn't have a turret yet. They're kind of restricted in terms of space and movement around the map. Uh-oh.
Sensui trying to get away here. Geek Fam just suffocating. They're playing so well, meticulously aggressive. Like, just so well all over the map, everywhere. Edward now looking for a target. Raging Sandstorm just to get away. Geek Fam want to take this tower.
This is what we were talking about earlier, actually, for the side of Geek Fam. I did say I was leaning a bit more towards a lineup of Blacklist International, but if Geek Fam layered their abilities well, found their timings, caught Blacklist International off guard, they'd be taking their conditions. They'd be the one leading the charge here. So that's exactly what they did. With meticulous, as you mentioned, their treks, gameplay around the map, good macro, and finding those little windows of opportunity to counter-go during the objective team fights, Geek Fam are just doing what they need to do with the lineup they have to make sure Blacklist lineup won't be able to shine as well as it could have.
Yeah, and with this, with the lead they have, you can see them put the pressure here now on the side of Blacklist International, at least trying to force these things out of Sensui even. But again, they'll take the buff. Now, my biggest thing here is the time that it takes for carry, right? To kind of build up to that point, the power spike, if you will. How's that comparison against the Claude? Typically, Claude takes a while too, but with this lead, and we saw the gold difference between gold lane alone, Oheb, it's going to take a little bit longer here. We're only 8.5 minutes in.
Yeah, there's a bit still. They're both built up to a golden staff, so I think it's good news that Carry also has true damage. Not going to be good. Well, Aboy now has an Ice Queen wand here, so that's something Blacklist needs to watch out for. Yes, they have that holy healing, but those slows, strong counter punishes.
Boy, gonna respond back though. Edward able to do nothing there. Nile gonna back. Gonna back off. I think it's smart. You mentioned the Claude and the carry. One of the things about the Claude, though, is even if he's not fully online, unloading a ton of damage, he still has so much utility outside of that with the split pushing, with being able to still melt down the Nether Realm.
Exactly.
Whereas carry, you just have one job really. It's try to shred down, the front liners, and until carry can do that, there's not much else she can do.
Man, look at this already. They force Sensui. Less than half health, they go ahead and give the go signal for the Lord. I don't think Blacklist International can even get here in time.
Yep. And I don't think they have the opportunity to find a counterplay, but I think they're going to try to go for Bloisky.
Bloisky able to get the knockup though on 2 members. Another Realm comes out from Yue. Marky trying to unload, but Geek Fam maybe just want to disengage here. Edward misses, whips into the backside, and now Geek Fam smell blood. Luke looking for one. The final slash to knock Edward out of the sand guard. And wait, Marky to the backside with a blazing weapon. He's taking a lot of damage. He'll flick back with the BMI. Blacklist International might have to lose this tower for the sake of the team.
What a play there by Geek Fam again, finding opportunity. Even though Blacklist International sniffed blood, thought they could get Bloisky. Geek Fam was able to chase Oheb.
Another wild slash on Oheb. The flicker. Luke, the stone under the tower. He's going to go down for that, but it is worth it today.
Again, Luke has been on point this entire game. Actually, the entire series so far, and right now it's BLACKLIST International trying to struggle to stay in this game. Nearly 7,000 gold deficit to work from.
Stone cold. Mr. 315. Add another chapter to the book of Luke as his legacy grows here. In the series against BLACKLIST International, committing the flicker just to ensure that kill, he goes down. But now, GEEK fam, they have a little bit more space to work with in terms of getting turrets, getting inhibitors down.
All right, GEEK fam trying to move in. They get the stun on to Sensui. Sensui gets heavy spin though, but then Owen's Fury helps GEEK fam. BLACKLIST International finds Nile though. And now Edward with the Raging Sandstorm looking for a boy. The black shoes are already gone. He will go down. Marky in with the Blazing Duet. BLACKLIST doesn't want to keep the fight going, but at least they keep GEEK fam away.
So there's still some fight back from BLACKLIST International. They're trying once again to allow OHEB to get online here. Real quick, how's the items looking?
All right, so it's still an advantage for the Claude here. Up to, okay, so since we actually have to rush a Blade Armor there, also up to a Radiant Blade Armor on the Baksha. The two Dominance Ices on the side of GEEK fam are causing a bit of trouble here for BLACKLIST. We see, I believe that's a rush into the Malefic Roar by that Khalid. So once that Malefic Roar goes up, he's going to be like one of the biggest damage dealers for BLACKLIST International. Well, International has to be because UA had to go for a more utility route, deciding to prioritize the Necklace of Durance as his first item, which was understandable, and then going to a Lightning Truncheon.
This is crazy too, as you're looking just the damage dealt so far from the members from GEEK fam. That's something that they have to work from, right? Again, when you have this kind of lead, that's kind of what you expect, but itemization-wise will fall into place the further they get into the game, especially if BLACKLIST International can kind of stall things out a little bit longer, right? We're still working with the fact that you really have to allow OHEB to get to this point in this carry. You already saw that Wind of Nature being picked up by Marky, going to give him some of this upper hand in a lot of these skirmishes and team fights as they break out, not to mention working around the Minoan Fury and avoiding the final slash from Luke, which has been on point. Edward also trying to bring up some of the damage, right? Picks up a Malefic Roar here to provide, once again, that burst potential to possibly put pressure on GEEK fam as this second Lord is now worked on. BLACKLIST trying to get in position here. Edward staying in that mid lane, trying to clear that out. As the Lord dance ensues, we got to keep a track of the positioning. Luke, not even a part of this so far.
Yeah, one thing about OHEB is he's got the Trinity locked in. He's got his third item locked in. He is officially a threat to the team, but Marky trying to lock on you, maybe force out that Netherrealm a little bit early. GEEK fam taking this slow. They know they have the advantage in the lanes. BLACKLIST International doesn't want to give this Lord up, though. Nice final slash. Lands on a Sensui. Bloisky able to get the knockup as well. OHEB now making the charge in. Wait, a five-man knockup. Luke into the backside, though, locked on to Marky. Marky forced to be a minute away. Bloisky goes down first, and OHEB's unloading. Nile looking for it. Can he get the retribution? No, Sensui takes it. BLACKLIST International back-to-back games, turning things around.
We talked about the book of Luke, but add another chapter to the book of the Lord, knocking up people at the worst possible time. You saw there, GEEK fam, Beloisky had the setup with the Minoan Fury, but then the Lord said, hey, I could set people up too. Doesn't matter who I knock up. And then add Edward entering into the back line of GEEK fam. What looked to be really great for GEEK turned out to be an unintended disaster just because the Lord's knockup went up in time for BLACKLIST.
And now they make their way down the mid lane. Lord marching in the bottom. GEEK fam still ahead here in terms of economy, but you can feel that bite now from BLACKLIST International. You saw it too. Edward picking up that Malefic Roar helped put pressure enough to have Marky pop the Wind of Nature. Get a boy to use that Black Shoes. That's part of the plan here for BLACKLIST International. And then the follow through from UA with the Netherrealm really helped them get that advantage. Lord's gonna go down here, not before it gets that charge in, but now BLACKLIST International has some space to work around.
My boy doing a good job at trying to fend off the mid side there as well. BLACKLIST International just equalized this game.
Are we going to see another Game 2 situation here, lads? Back and forth, pendulum. You want that, Trex?
It's already been there. We're already there.
We just met that criteria.
Yep. Gold lead gone.
Yeah, this is the reality we live in, and I couldn't ask for anything better. Now, let's see how these two teams will tell another beautiful story of who wins a crucial game number 3 in this elimination match here in M5. As we look at the items, full build. No, still waiting on the last one there for the carry. Already up to a Sea Halberd, actually, is that Claude. So Marky's damage will hurt his poke damage. Sensui, and of course him being one of the frontline vision givers for BLACKLIST International, has to be a little bit more careful now. Make sure that he has Renegade with him when he goes for those vision plays, and the timing of Edward. This Khalid becomes deadlier and deadlier as the sands of time falls down the hourglass.
Already looking at this damage Delta Boy has been on top of things here. Picks up a Divine Glaive on top of it. So he's going to hurt even more a lot of these team fights. Once again, as you look at these team fights unfold, which are at this point, we're probably only going to see them really around the Lord, right, for the dance, because both these teams, even looking at that head-to-head earlier, we saw how much they kind of prioritize that. And with BLACKLIST International favored for a lot of those utility dances, those fights going on, that's even where Edward becomes more crucial, right? His patience to use this Raging Sandstorm is going to change a course of a lot of these fights. The same can even be said for Beloisi on the other side, or Luke, right? It leaves up to the roamers, these XP laners. How do they unfold from there and initiate? And that's why you see, if they can get a pick off, it's even better. But so far, the stalemate happens. Lords up, both teams rotating there to get there for this dance.
All right, Geek fam. I feel like this is a kind of, we're getting to do or die for them a little bit, right? Oheb is coming online. Edward just locked in the Blade of Despair. Geek fam does have some great answers to BLACKLIST International's comps, but so far when we get into this late game, BLACKLIST International does seem to control the pace a little bit. Now with Lord down to 50%, Edward into the backside looking for a boy able to pop the black shoes. Luke holding BLACKLIST at bay, but they don't want to stop here. Netherrealm is still in play, but there comes Noan's Fury.
A boy!
Respond back, and Edward able to find a boy. Marky to the backside with a blazing duet. Beloisi goes down. Luke is going to be next on the chopping block as Edward picks up the double. Niall trying to get the play. Sensui takes it from his fingers. Marky all alone against BLACKLIST International now.
Patience is the key here. And once again, BLACKLIST International turns things around and they march into the base.
You mentioned do or die. It looks like it's due for BLACKLIST.
All right, BLACKLIST coming in. They've locked onto the base. Marky with all he can. Cannot withhold against the agents.
They did it again. The pendulum swung, but this time back to BLACKLIST International it goes. 2-1 in the series. They get to match point.
Patience. Again, we were waiting for the timing, the timer.